on Notion. It's time for a new lifestyle Notion template for your post-summer reset. We're approaching that time of the year that I always feel like is a bit of a fresh start. So I really hope that this template helps you get organized and get back into routine. I really enjoyed creating and sharing the last Notion template with you, so we're back with a new one that I have been using since the beginning of 2025, evolving within the last 7 months, and I just wanted to create something that was really going to stick and that was going to make you more productive day to day. In this video I'm going to share with you a tour of my Notion page. I'm also going to share a small tutorial with you on how to get started, how to implement my specific template into your account, and also just get you set up with the necessary tools when it comes to Notion so that you can take my template and customize it to fit your everyday, because I feel like that is the best way to make Notion work for you. But before we get into that, let's get into what Notion actually is. For those of you who are completely new to the platform, Notion is an all-in-one online note-taking platform which can be used in a bunch of different ways. It can be used if you're a business owner or a student where you want to kind of organize all of your notes, or just to get more organized within your everyday and improve your lifestyle, which is how I personally use Notion. It's completely free to use on the basic plan, but it does come with a few different plan options. For example, if you're a business and you want kind of different people to edit one Notion and kind of have notes and input, then you can have a little look at those. But for today, we're talking about the free basic plan. Notion also comes in the form of an app, so you can use it on your phone or on your iPad, but I personally just love using it either on my laptop or my iMac, just on like the online version. Anyways, I hope that gives you a little bit more of background information on what Notion actually is. But now let's get into how you can work in Notion, and let me share with you my Notion template. When you open my Notion template, this is the homepage that you'll be greeted with. As you can see, I have a header which I've just called Life Planner, and as you scroll down, I have 5 images that are headering my 5 different categories. So as categories, I've got personal, productivity, health and fitness, finance, and content, which I feel like are my top 5 lifestyle categories. And then within each category I have different pages which we'll go into in a minute, but I will just show you the rest of the home page. So down here I have a flip clock on the left which you can completely customize if you wish to change the color, or if you wish for it to be 12-hour rather than 24-hour. In the middle here I just have my vision board for 2025, and then on the right hand side we just have my daily ticks / affirmations. So every day I'm on Notion, I like to just change the affirmation for the day. So today I've written always be kinder than you feel, which I feel like is such a lovely message. And then down here on the right I've just got a calendar, which honestly I find so handy because I honestly just never know what day it is, which is not the most ideal thing, but I do find that handy having that on the front page. And as you scroll down a little bit more, I have my goals like that are kind of like monthly for the year, if that makes sense, and some intentions as well. So at the beginning of every single month I basically come on here and I fill out the month's intentions before the month starts. So as you can see, it is the end of July now, so I should be kind of filling in my August intentions and goals. But for July I could tick off weekend staycation because we did do that, and we have been trying to make the most out of summer, so I can tick both of those off, which is kind of fun. Another way that you can see all of your pages is by this 3 toggle on the side here, and as you can see I have 2 of my 2025 Notion pages just because this is the template one, but I also have my personal one, and within that you can basically see all of the different categories I have in there too. I do much prefer though to just have that hidden and then look at the overall page. I did actually want to shout out my new Casecoat phone cases because I am so in love with the functionality of these. First of all, I have this matte blue one, which I just think is so pretty. This is a MagSafe phone case, and the best part is definitely the little stand that kind of comes with the case. With each case you get these really cool magnetic little, almost like stickers, but they are magnets, and the edges are reinforced, so if you drop your phone it is more protected. And this is what the clear matte magic stand case looks like. How cute is this magnet? Because of this gorgeous stand, you can literally have your phone next to your screen with a to-do list on Notion, and it is so handy. You can also have it balanced on the side as well if you're doing a workout, for example, and you want your phone to kind of stand up. I just think these are so cute, so I wanted to share them with you. I will have both of the Caseco cases linked down below, so do make sure to check them out, and there will be a little discount code for you as well. I highly recommend if you are looking for a new phone case with a MagSafe and stand integrated into them. Now let's get into the specific pages, starting from personal and goals and vision. Throughout the whole template you will get little notes from me that you're welcome to read through as you're setting yourself up, and then delete once you've kind of got everything out of that page or that note. But here I've just got a little welcome to your goals and a little bit more about how I like to plan my goals. Here I've written main goal 1, main goal 2 and main goal 3, and I've added some images as inspiration, and then within the goal I've written I will achieve this by, and then written out a few bullet points, and then the reason I want to achieve this is, and then a few bullet points. And I feel like when you have a goal and also a list of how you're going to try and achieve it, and also the reason why you want to achieve it, there is a higher chance that you will actually achieve that goal. Going into the next page, which is wellness, and in here I have actually written out my morning routine, evening routine, 2 go-to juice recipes, and also my current skincare routine step by step. And whenever I'm feeling unmotivated to do any of these routines, then I like to go on this page, and I feel like the images just re-inspire me, and also having it written down does definitely help when it comes to doing routines. I'm definitely like a write it down kind of person, or type it up and like visually see the list, because then you can tick it off in a way as well. Moving on to productivity in daily plans. So this is the page that I come to pretty much every single day, because this is where I can plan out my day in time blocks, and I can also look at my to-do list or create my to-do list. I also do have added a little monthly list for you guys. I find this so useful because more often than not I have things that I know are not going to be done within the day, but I know they need to be done within the month. So this comes out really handy. But basically, as I said on the left here, the schedule is hourly blocked, and then in my actual to-do list for the day, I've created it in these little sections where you can put your daily ticks, you're under 5 minutes, and you're completed. And it's so satisfying because, say for example, I've got post Instagram on my daily ticks, I can basically just kind of swipe along and add it to my completed, and then check the checkbox. If you wish to add to this, you just click new page and then type in the thing you need to do. For example, I'm just going to type make dinner, and then you can tick that off when it's ready. Or if it's something that's not going to take longer than 5 minutes, I like to just add it to this pile, because then that way you can see everything that won't take long and you can very quickly tick off. This is the exact same concept within the monthly to-dos as well. And also another thing to note is that each one of these to-do tasks does have its own separate page, which kind of pops out to the right, and basically you can add your own notes in here. So for this specific example, I've written that I need to update my address because we recently moved, and then within here I've just written driving license and insurance. You can also add a due date. That's one of the priorities that I added. So if you want to have a little deadline for yourself, you can pick a day to have as a deadline, and you can also actually set reminders, which I feel like is so smart. And then as you scroll down a little bit more, this is a ideal week that I've set up, so you can completely customize this. You can basically just kind of select all these boxes and like delete everything that I've inputted and input your own. But this is typically what a week looks like for me. So some days I work from home, some days I work from the office. So I've written that all down. I've written when I start work, what my morning routine looks like, when I need to leave for work. So yeah, I've included that. And then the monthly ticks is just a calendar, and the reason why I've included this is because you can actually now sync your Google Calendar and your iCloud calendar within Notion. So I have done that, and then when you click manage in calendar, this is what my current calendar looks like. This is for the month of July. It's a little bit messy, but I'm definitely more of like a visual person, so having it set up like this just makes sense for me. Moving right along into health and wellness, and the first page is fitness. So within this I've just set up a little table. I've obviously named it Irida's fitness tracker, but you could of course change that. And then in here we've got Monday to Sunday, and you can basically go in and just like write out what activity you want to do if you're planning ahead or something that you have already done, and then you can type what workout type you've done. So in here I've got recovery, rest day, at home gym or outdoor activity, and then the duration of your activity out of 60 minutes. So for example, if we do, like say I did a 45-minute workout, I can type 45 minutes and then that kind of shows in the bar, which I feel like is quite a nice visual addition. The vitamin tracker might actually have to be my favourite page. Within this I have created a little tracker, which again is in the form of a bar and also percentage. So if these are the vitamins you take, you can basically tick these off, and then the percentage goes up or down depending on what you have taken for the day, which I feel like is kind of fun. And you can obviously amend this to however many things you take. That way you can kind of customize your own vitamin tracker. Quickly going into the menstrual cycle page, in here is super simple. All I do, as I've noted down here as well, is I add a start and an end date, and that's basically literally just like a page with a love heart. So I can then kind of copy this, paste this, and then pull that to whenever my start of my period is, and then there you go. And then you just do the exact same with the end. That way when you kind of go back on the calendar, you can see your previous cycle. Moving on to my most used page within Notion, which is my monthly expenses. And the reason for that is that I just like to stay on top of my finances. I think it's so important to know exactly what is coming out of your business cards, out of your day-to-day cards, and what is coming in. So this is how I stay on top of my specific finances. I basically have this chart in which I have inputted different categories. So for example, food and transport at the top, which is my kind of essentials. And then I've got bills, and then I total everything at the end. Now, these are obviously very much mock numbers. I would absolutely love for my rent to be £20, but it definitely isn't. So yeah, this is just to show you. But once I pay for something, I basically just tick it off with a little tick like this. But typically at the start of the month, we kind of just start without any ticks, and then as things get paid off, I tick. And then moving on to our last category, I have my content, which is very specific to me, but I will very quickly run you through it because I feel like if you have specific hobbies or side hustles, then this might be the little category for you. So within YouTube, this is how I do all of my YouTube planning. This is basically a list database, and in here I have different types of content, the titles of the content, what progress it's in, if I'm working with a brand, when it's going live or if it has gone live, and it's just a really nice visual way to see how you're progressing within the year and how much content you're putting out and what kind of content you're putting out. And then for each one of these titles, you can actually open it in the side as a little side peek, and that creates its own little page. So in here you can write your notes for that specific video. Because I do my own management, I do have a collabs page as well, which is basically a spreadsheet that I have created, and within this I have every collab that I've done within the tax year, so April to April here in the UK. And basically you've got the company, the month that you've worked on that video on, requirements, due date, progress of the collaboration, whether it's being like the product's being shipped if it's a product, whether the video has been filmed, whether they have paid, etc. if it's a paid collaboration, whether it's gifted, if it's completed, and you can kind of see, like, I've obviously detracted like most information from this. And last but not least, we have the planning page under content, which is honestly just an empty page I have created for myself and for you guys, just to literally write down content ideas, brain dumps, anything that's on your mind. You can even like journal within this. It literally is just a page, And the reason why I wanted to add this is because sometimes when I'm on the go, I just want to very quickly write something, and having an empty page like this is really, really handy, especially when you can add a little title to it or like a date. And that is the overview of my Notion page. Let's quickly go through how to actually get my template onto your Notion account. Once you have the link to my Notion template, you basically copy and paste it into your browser as normal. It's just a site link, and that gives you access to the template, and this is what it's going to look like. So you won't necessarily be able to edit this, you will only really be able to view it. But what you then do is you can click the little like just to say that you like it, and then you can click duplicate, which basically will then take you into your account and ask which workspace you would like my template to be pasted into. Now this is just mine, so you can just click add to private, and then that will take a little bit of time for that to get added in, but you can kind of see how quickly it's downloading in the sidebar here. So once that's done, you can then go into that, and then you can customize that template. And when you customize it, no one will be able to see that except you, because it's on your account. Now let's go over the basics of Notion. Now you have just opened up the template and you would like to create your own page to get started. So anywhere that you click and you see right press space for AI/commands, that basically means you can type on there. So for example, if I want to go into this toggle, which you can open or close, I want to add a page within the personal toggle, I can just do a little dash, and I can scroll down to page, or you can type that in, whatever's easiest. And then that opens up a blank page just like this. So within this, how I like to set up a page is to go into the three dots on the top right hand side. You can pick what font. I typically either use default or serif. You can click small text or full width. I like to work in full width. And this is essentially how to get started with a page. You can add an icon. It typically just picks a random one, but you can basically just do whatever you want. There is so many different variations. Like we can go for this, for example. You can pick which color. You can add a cover image, and when it comes to cover images, you can either input your own images, or you can use any of the presets that they have, or use Unsplash, which you can basically search anything in there. Like I can just type in health. Now, as you have seen throughout the template, you can do so many different things within each page. But let's just start by giving a title to our page. I'm just going to do test, very imaginative. And then within this, you can click this sort of like dash button, and all of these suggestions come up. So you've got your basic blocks, which is text, headings, bullet points, to-do lists, pages, callouts, and so on. There's some Notion AI, which I personally don't use at the moment. There's also media and databases, and those are basically the top three things that I would use. I would never really go into advanced blocks. We're going to try and keep it as simple as possible, but there are so many different things that you can embed as well if you're a business and you want to kind of link in, for example, Trello or Dropbox or Monday, which are all things that I have used before, or even Word. There is the possibility of doing that, but for now we're just going to go over the basics. So this is how I create the little to-do lists. Something else that I use quite often is the callouts, which basically creates this sort of color around this section, and then you can write whatever you want in there, and then that is kind of highlighted compared to other text, if that makes sense. And then you can also change the little icon as well, so you can kind of pick whatever you want within that, which is fun. Something else within here is adding an image. So if you add an image, again, I'm just going to use Unsplash, but you can upload your own images. As you can see, this image has come up full size, and if you want to have something side by side to the image, for example text, you can absolutely do that. And as you can see, anytime I hover over any line, you get these 6 dots and a little plus. So you can actually, as it says, drag to move, so you can click on it and kind of drag it to the side. Whether you want it on this side or this side is totally up to you. but then that essentially makes that image a little bit smaller and it gives you space to add text. The next thing I'm going to show you within this drop down menu is the table, which you will see many of these throughout my template. I find them so useful, but you can basically create these by adding as many different columns as you want, up and down. You can add titles. You can basically select a whole row like this, and you can change the color of that, the text, the background, to kind of emphasize each area. So these are quite handy when you're kind of wanting to do a Monday to Friday list or anything like that. Another way to bring up that list is just by clicking plus, which literally is just the same way of doing it. One of them is just a shortcut. So those are some of the basic blocks that I use day to day, and there's another couple of different ones that you play with. For example, dividers are quite nice and aesthetic. I have tidied our test page a tiny little bit because I want to get into databases. Databases are a little bit more complicated than the basic blocks, I would have to say, but I do think they are very useful, and I do have quite a few of them within the template, so I do want to go over them quite quickly for you to give you a basic of understanding. I mean, I am no expert, but this is kind of how I've made sense of them. But let's just go and scroll down to our database section, and you have all of these different views. Now, I like the board view, so let's just start with that for now. I'm going to give this a title, and I'm going to do books because we're going to create a to be read, reading and read section. To get started, I am going to want to change the name of each one of the categories. Now, I personally don't think Notion have made this easy, but this is how I found it to work. So you go into the settings, which is just located on the right hand side, and you then go into the property visibility, sorry, and then you can see you've got status, which is in the hidden board. So let's just make that unhidden, and you just untick the little I, which then makes it visible. Then you go into new page, which is essentially where you're going to add the book that you're reading, and as you can see it says not started, so we can click on that. We can then click edit property, and then the properties pop up here. You click default, and then that way you can change the name. It's a little bit of a long-winded way to get there, but that's the easiest way I've found. So here we're going to put to be read list. You can also change the color here as well, so we can just do brown for a bit of fun. These databases work with properties, and when it comes to properties, you get a few pre-selected ones when you open up a database. Now you can view these here in the properties and edit properties. Now you have an assign, which I personally don't think we need, so we can click on that and then just delete that. And then you've got your status, which we like to keep because we can then edit that, and we've got the name. But another property that I think would be handy when it comes to books is you can actually put author, for example, or publication date or genre or language. So I'm going to do author, which is just simply text, but whether you want that to be a person, a date, status, a number, and so on. But we're just keeping that as text, and then we can just make sure, if we go back a few steps, that that is then visible in the properties, which it is. So now when it comes to adding a book or a page which we want to reference within the database, you can basically click into here and type the name of the book. So I'm going to put Avatar, and then within author I'm just going to put Sarah J. Maas, is that her name? And because this is a page, you can add an image, so I'm just going to add the front cover of the book, which I've just downloaded from Google, and you can just paste it. And then if you want to actually see the front cover of the book in your list, you can go into the properties, again into the settings, you can go into the layout, and then down here there's a bunch of different options. So we can basically put card preview, and then we can put page content. And that brings up the book cover, which you can also reposition, and you can have the top of it at the beginning. That is how you can set up a fun way of tracking which books you're reading. Once you're reading this book, you can pop it into the reading pile. Once you've read it, you can pop it in. And also you can view this database in different ways. Another way that you can view it is by table, which in my opinion is a little bit less fun, but it is still another way of almost creating a little list of your books. And there you have it. That is my full Notion template tour and also beginner tutorial to get you started on the platform. The link to my template is down below in the description, so do make sure you go check that out. And also you can find the CaseGo link to the gorgeous phone cases I share with you down below as well. If you have any questions on setting yourself up on Notion, or you have any issues accessing the link to my template or getting it onto your account, then do please let me know in the comments and I can try and answer any questions the best I can. As always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, do make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you very soon with a brand new video.